Anyway, like Tony at this point, I'm kind of going, man, a lot's been going on. I could kind of use a little break. And they're like, or you could do 3 more in a row.
Yeah.
I go, all right, let's do that.
I don't want to go. I don't want to go, sir, please.
The scenes between you and the Guardians are completely absurdist comedy, you know, like, and there's a lot of like super genius frustration. Same with Strange too, where he's just the kid with Parker. You say one more pop culture reference, right? Remember, all this stuff is like you trying to hold together the collection of idiots.
But I love that at the base of it, the very first thing we show is he's starting to imagine a world where they could wind up where they wind up in Endgame.
That's right.
Having no idea how vastly different from this little park walk and talk that version of the world in Endgame would be.
Well, and it was lighter. The dynamic was lighter than Civil War, right? Civil War was really heavy lifting.
Yeah, it was intense. It was a more, I mean, that scene between you and Evans in Civil War in the conference room is probably as intense, outside of the one in the Avengers where you guys had that.
Yeah, but that's like a paranoia thriller. I
Right.
felt like the Russos took us out of any previous superhero genre and brought us into this new place.
Right.
Starting with Winter Soldier, and then Civil War is like, how do you do both? You're introducing all these new characters, you're pitting them against each other, and then for the light, we have the intro of Tom Holland. So again, just like we have this scene at the beginning of Infinity War, which I have to say, to me, I feel is the most important one we've done so far.
What do you mean, Infinity War?
So far, because it was taking the superhero genre and turning it into a insaniac cliffhanger where, if not for the MCU, there'd be no hope for how you would see a brighter day.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Because of that, this is a movie that is just begging to collapse under the amount of characters and plot and location that you're jumping through. Were there films that you looked at for reference of just of how they managed scope?
There's not a lot you can compare these to. It's difficult, right? Because you could say there were movies like The Towering Inferno or Poseidon Adventure where they took a lot of movie stars and put them into a film and then tried to give them all arcs and track them and everybody gets their moments. But this is taking characters from really successful, singular stories from their own worlds that have multiple films, that have multiple character arcs and are building at a much larger scale, then trying to combine them all in a way that those arcs still work cohesively, can be pulled through the movie. That's the hardest part of this. I think it's like I was having dinner with Steven Soderbergh as our mentor like 2 months ago. And had a few drinks and we were sitting there and he says, so how hard is it to make those movies? And I go, I sat for a minute, I was trying to think of a snarky, funny response because he's got a great sense of humor. And I just said, they're really fucking hard. It's like, they're really fucking hard. And it's what you're talking about. It's combing through, grinding it over and over and over, obsessively for the 2.5 years that we're working on that project to make sure that he's happy and Hemsworth's happy and Holland's happy and Evans is happy and Scarlett's happy and everyone feels fulfilled.
Sure. Hopefully even Happy's happy.
Yes.
Now we had a Happy Hogan cameo in this scene that we reshot.
It's in the park,
and
with
then
you
we
and Pepper.
and then we 86.
I actually had a cameo.
That's right. You're the paparazzi we were running away from.
Yes.
This is so good, though. I want to say this too, and I think, and I'm. By the way, I want to kudos to your kid for telling you to wear a button-up shirt today.
Yes.
This is the story of our lives, and then it's reflected in this MCU arc we've all been in. So I look back there and I go, oh, that was more than a hot second ago when we shot this, and I have all these frames of references. And I think people who see the films, they remember where they were at, where they were in school, where they were working, where they were bringing their kid the first time to see one of these films.
Sure.
And it's just amazingly and very typically American innovation.
Okay, so I can remember my son's belly laugh at the line, "He means get lost, Squidward." Like, that meant that this was, the stakes were high,
Yeah.
but it was going to be funny. Like, tell me how you guys balance humor in these death-defying scenarios.
We know where we're going at the end of the movie. We know what these characters mean to the audience. You also have to remember that these movies appeal to a wide range of ages, and the mission is to invite everybody in under the tent. We're not trying to exclude anybody. We want anybody who wants to watch a big, complex, fun, sad, tragic, high adventure story. Please come into the tent with us. Wherever you are in the world, you're invited in. And so part of that is that you have to give them a full experience in order for them to feel invited into it. We don't want you to be depressed this entire film. The ending's depressing. Knowing that we're going to take you to a place where we're going to depress you and make it complicated. Mark Ruffalo tells a very funny story, maybe somewhat disturbing story of a guy in a theater in New York City. He was in there with his son. It was Friday night, opening night of Infinity War. And when everybody, ghosted out at the end of the movie, he said the guy got up and ripped his shirt off and started stomping around the theater and screaming, "Why? Why? Why?" Now, we don't want, that's a good response to have. We don't need everyone to have that response.
I'm sorry, but this was also the beginning of, and you recall, after Ultron and then Civil War, they're like, okay, seems like we're gaining speed, but towards what?
Right.
And in a word, Joe Nance said, guys, for this and Endgame, this is a chase movie, and Endgame is a heist movie. Now let's work on the chase. In the chase, at the end, the bad guy gets away, and you all crash. You understand? That's what we're shooting. And we're like, great. So then we know whatever lightness or fun, and by the way, getting back to, we're going to answer the question you asked, Squidward is, we now have the Guardians that have brought the humor to another level, and some of it feels like Stark 3.0, but very much their own. So we're having to invite them into the tent now where they're kind of like the main attraction when it comes to that. And you have to go like, oh, that's right. That's changed with this group now. Well, A, we got to roll out the red carpet because they did a great job. And B, we have to figure out now, how do we pepper around and bring that light to them without changing how they brought this experiment to the next level.
Fit their range into it.
So that brings us to what I believe is the very first day you guys shot, which is Tony and Peter negotiating with the Guardians of how they're going to hatch a plan. This is the first thing you
One
guys
of my
shot?
favorite scenes in the movie.
Is it really? Okay.
And we actually went back and did some reshoots just to punch up the comedy of it, but a lot of it was written that morning, and a lot of it was improv while we were shooting it. Most of the biggest jokes in it. And we were talking about this earlier, right? Like, you're kind of like Venkman or Groucho Marx in Duck Soup.
Yes.
Right? Where every room you walk into, you have the answer and the confidence to solve the problem. There are just a bunch of idiots standing in your way between you and the problem.
But I didn't know that day because I walk and I go, oh, there's a new troop and they are formidable. And so you're like, oh. And then if I want to entertain myself for an afternoon, I'll just watch Chris Pratt outtakes from Parks and Rec.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
And I go, okay, so he was already primed to be able to just go next level.
Were you threatened at all?
I was mad at him. But I was also going.
Why were you mad at him?
I was mad at him because, like, hey, man, that's why I go, no, it isn't. It's him. Right. So it's this. The great thing is when you have players around you that are better than you in areas, you go, oh, okay, that's not a threat. That's a gift. And so again, where Tony's at, I just had to keep going. All right, what's his new position? Because we had the, worry wart suit of armor around the world for Ultron. That doesn't go very well. By the way, that's essentially an AI movie. Yeah. And then we know what Civil War is, and now we're doing a change.
Well, if we're to track your arc in this, right? It starts very clearly after the park scene where you get brought to the sanctum, and then you are told about Thanos. And we shoot you. You're in that wide shot. I love it, where you're sort of sitting, and you're kind of off center in the frame. And it's just like you contemplating and processing what they're talking about. And then you carry that forward in the movie. So you talk about this as a chase movie. You're the one person in the movie you and Doctor Strange who understand the stakes. Everyone else is trying to figure out the stakes as the movie.
We're also setting something up that was already in his mind that I couldn't have known right then. I was like, Doctor Strange, how is that going to work in here now?
Yeah.
But we need him, and obviously he and I have some really important interactions later.
Do you remember the appetite that fans had to see you and Benedict together?
Yeah, and why not? I mean, and he brought in, I still feel like the two hardest characters to pull off was what Evans did with Cap, and then I think Cumberbatch with Strange was like, are they really going to? Because in the comics it kind of works, and they were kind of holding these spaces of credibility in the real world and credibility in the world of, magic and sorcery and all that stuff.
And the two Sherlocks, of course.
That's right. No wonder they wanted to see us together.
Who was a better Sherlock? Who was a better Sherlock?
I think people liked him, but
Who's still doing
it's
it?
hard to have it. It's hard to have a series make $1 billion in the marketplace.
That's it.
I do want to say this. Remember when
Did you notice how he did that? Did you see what he just did there? I'm just pointing it out.
Isn't it crazy how go 2 clicks back?
Right.
And people are making associations because someone who was in a movie and played the same part as someone who's in there now doing a different movie. It was like, used to be just simple little wires you tied together.
Right.
Now we are in an avalanche of binary nonsense.
Yeah.
How does this feel for you? This is kind of a surreal moment because you are the type of journalist and partner that we have the shorthand with and we can discuss it because we get it.
Well, I'll tell you guys, and I'll be candid. So when you're a film critic, you get asked one question more than anything else, which is, what's your favorite movie of all time, right? And it's an impossible answer. You can't come up with one. We have so many. So I would just tell people it's the first Die Hard, right? Because the first Die Hard is the movie that changed my life. That's the one that told me, I want to...
Tonally impeccable.
Yes. Yeah. I was like, whatever they are doing on that screen, I want to be part of. And for me, it was covering it, right? This movie, Infinity War, is the first film that made me change my answer. Because I said,
I'll take it.
This is a perfect movie. Because I understand how impossible the circumstances are for everything that came before it, for it all to come together. And there isn't a wasted beat in the movie. There is, every scene matters. Every interaction matters. The fights are generated by plot, right? Everything is pushing you forward on this freight train. And
it's really fucking hard.
So do you remember how long your longest cut of the movie was?
I listen, we often joke with our very dear collaborator, Jeff Ford, that we can't shoot a shot that goes for more than 8 seconds because he will just get the scissors out and move us along a little faster.
Right.
He's the one responsible for compressing. We shot on this film, I think it was 20 days of you had to sit in a room to watch all the footage for 20 days straight.
Right.
So that we gave him that much footage. So, he is a Herculean task of taking all that footage and compressing it. So you can imagine if we did a bunch of improv with Robert and Pratt and all the other Guardians and Holland, how much footage we shot of that day. We probably shot, 15, 16 hours of footage that needs to be turned into about 4 minutes.
Right.
So what is the longest shot in the movie, do you know?
No, I have no idea.
Yeah. I can't even think of what it would be. I'd have to think real hard about that.
We'll punch in for that in ADR.
Yeah, I'm curious what it would be. There was a rumor that, staying on Titan briefly, you were actually going to kill him off when he got... Did you know this? Did you know... I'm not sure if this is confirmed or not. But
Thanks for bringing it up.
you danced around the fact that you might have wanted to kill...
At one point, happens a lot in these rooms, right? We try to, I'm feeling the heat now. We try to investigate all angles, right? Everything's up for grabs. We always say best idea wins. And a lot of the times you got to stretch.
It's mine.
Yes.
No,
yes,
sorry.
it is. We have to stretch.
Mine is don't kill me.
We have to stretch the toffee a little bit. You pull the taffy a little bit, stretch it, to see where it goes. There was a moment where we thought, they're not expecting it. This could be the best place to possibly do it. Yeah. But then we'd have to figure out how he could potentially still participate in the next movie. And then we went, fuck it, let's just do it in the next movie. Mm-hmm. Now, we had this cemented in our minds for quite a while before we actually went and pitched it to him. because we can sit there all day long and go, yeah, we had great death for Tony Stark. He's gonna love it, you know. And this is a character he's been playing for 20 years of his life. But having to go pitch somebody, you know, this is this creation, this part of your psyche that lives with you, that you've been playing, that the world knows you for, and that you interact with on a daily basis. I mean, how much does Tony Stark come into your life, right? And we go, yeah, and so we had a great idea. The audience is going to love it. We're going to kill you at the end of this thing. It's a hard conversation. I knew how personal it would be to him. So it was, honestly, maybe there were two very tough conversations we had with you. The first one was to talk you into Civil War. And it was only tough because we had not, we met you briefly, right?
I saw them on the back of a golf cart, and they're like,
right.
"Hey, these are the guys who are going to do the doing Winter Soldier." I was like, "Cool." I was like, "God, they seem really cool." And then they just drove away and went and made arguably what is still considered, you know, the greatest.
Top tier. Yeah. Top tier.
We're in our fugue state.
Yeah, but to me, it was just this odd thing of how, at this level with studios and filmmakers, how can you say, you know, we're thinking it might be this, but now we might change the entire story, and it could be this. And I go like, I like that. That sounds jazzy.
Right.
We were breaking Civil War for a while, and then I remember Kevin going, "Okay, now you guys got to go talk to Robert." I was like, "Thought you were gonna fucking talk to Robert? Why am I talking to Robert?"
It's not my job.
And by the
Right?
way, like Tony at this point, I'm kind of going, man, a lot's been going on. I could kind of use a little break. And they're like, or you could do 3 more in a row.
Yeah.
I go,
Wrap it up.
all right, let's do that.
But we came out to your house, backyard, chaise lounge. You were laying on the chaise lounge. You're like, "Give it to me. Give it to me." It was like he was in a King Downey mode.
Oh my God.
And we were like, I was looking at my brother. I was like, "Okay, so here's the thing. It may sound like you're the bad guy, but you're not. You know, it's going to be presented complicated. It's going to be textured. People are going to pick sides.
Right.
It's going to get really ugly. It's going to lead to the next movie where now the Avengers are fracturing and the greatest threat of all time is going to show up. And it's going to make it even harder for the audience to believe you could pull this off." So we had a plan.
Right.
But it was also saying you're going to now, when you know the notes you're playing, you're saying, I want you to be this really kind of edgy rhythm section. You go, okay, great. That's the assignment. Thank you.
Yeah.
And then for this, for Infinity War, I still am just going, and it's so interesting. I'm so glad we're talking about this right now, given where we're at
In the process?
in our process, because you look back and you go, wow, this is what. At the premiere in Los Angeles, I had a little side after party, and I watched everybody come in, name a cast member. They came in one after the other, just kind of ghost white and trying to get back in their bodies. And I didn't go to the premiere that night for other reasons. And I was also getting ready to receive everybody because I'm like, you know, whatever. I'm like the Martha Stewart of Marvel. So I was ready to get everyone going. And I saw him come in. I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And everybody was, I'd never seen this reaction to a premiere that had gone that well, but rendered this result where everyone was like, I've never seen a movie ever that did this.
Right. Where the heroes lose, essentially. And that brings me to, no, actually I want to go back. I want to go back even further. I want to go back to that day at the El Capitan. I want to go back to that day in October. We get a phone call, media members get a phone call on a Monday, random Monday from Disney. Hey, can you guys get over to the El Capitan on Tuesday?
I remember this.
We're going to announce something important. Well, yeah, of course. You know, Marvel wants us there. We're going to be there, kind of thing. And it was all of Phase 3. It was the map out of Phase 3. The very first mention of Civil War, which at the time they called Serpent Society.
It was a fake out.
Yeah. The
We're
fake
like,
out.
we're going to sit on this.
The brothers were in the audience. You guys were in the audience. You get called out from Feige. And you come out with Chris to tease Civil War and to introduce Chadwick. But that's the last time that Marvel rolled out a full phase. And that was the first mention that Infinity War was going to be 2 parts.
Right.
So as someone who was
We
there
just figured it all out, by the way.
You did? So did you know you were going to direct at that point?
Oh God, it's like we did 4 of these in 7 years, and a lot of it's a blur. So I can't remember. Sometimes was it like, did they ask us before Civil War? Did they ask us after Civil War? We had plans in place for the whole thing. We knew that if we broke up Tony and Steve that it was going to create complications for us. It would give us a lot of good storytelling in 2 more movies. We also pitched them. I'm always pitching them on breaking into more movies because it's more opportunity for story. It's harder to tell things at this scale with this many actors, with this many great character arcs in a 2-hour, 2.5 hour. You look at Infinity War, right? Like these are very, very difficult. But when you can stretch it out a little bit, you can give more space to the characters. You can interweave things. That's why we felt like Civil War really is, and then it's Avengers Civil War, and then it's Avengers Infinity War, and then it's Avengers Endgame.
The other thing too is it's like at this point, this day you're talking about, Kevin is now running a research laboratory.
Okay.
And they've just figured out what a formula is going to be. So for any of us, we don't even have ownership over, but am I going to also, it's like, that's not the point. The point is that this formula has arisen and we're all contributors to it. And that, I think, also is something that I haven't experienced really outside the MCU, where you have this collective desire to just contribute to the whole, and it doesn't really matter how it lands. I mean,
or whether you're going to be there for where it lands.
Yeah.
That's part of the fun of it.
it's also part of the challenge because you have to love it enough to say if it needs to sideline me, leave me behind, have me not be in the position that I was thinking I should be in. It doesn't matter because it won't work for this vision.
Right.
And Johnny's instincts are always great about that, right? Like, that's why I was nervous, because pitching him on Civil War, it's very easy for him to sit and go, it's the wrong move, guys. I don't think that's the right. And you saw it, and then you saw, I think really what got you was the bigger picture play, right? Because when you're in these movies as an actor, the hardest thing to play is where am I going? Because you don't know where you're going, it's hard to perform. It's hard to behave with confidence around, making choices in a scene, understanding what your motivation is. But we were pitching a multi-movie arc, which I think was going to make it a lot easier for him and for Evans to understand you're going to break, and then you're going to come back together. But it's going to cost a lot to get there.
Evans is so great because he'll always be like, hey guys, what do you think? I'm along for the ride. I love it. And then he'll come in and say, but, and you're like, wow, thank God we have him.
Yeah.
Back to Civil War just for a second.
Sure.
And this is the other thing of passing the baton in this never-ending, hopefully, relay race, is part of it to me was, we're going to make it so small. Alfre Woodard comes to me as the mother of this student that was killed in Sokovia and says, this is on you. And that turns me and I go, I have to rethink the way I'm doing things because of the way, and a lot of this is just the quality of artists that come in to just do one really important move that changes the trajectory of the cosmos.
You gave us one name for that role.
Got to.
That was it. He was like, it's Alfre Woodard, or I can't do it. Yeah. I don't know. And then we went and got Alfre Woodard. Yeah.
Yeah, she's my Yoda.
And I'll tell you, like, it says something that I can go back and rewatch Civil War a dozen times, and my opinion will change throughout of who's more right.
Depends on where you're at in your life.
Hold on. Right. Nowadays, more than ever, I'm so glad you brought this up because what these films has always sought to do is divide, create a dialogue, and contain one's capacity to do that in a place that, because it's not real world, you actually get to practice being open to differences in opinion.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Isn't that crazy?
Well, the way we build these things, the themes are very... And I guess the way my brother and I can hook into them is that they're themes that are important to us in the moment we're making the movie. So Winter Soldier we're getting a little worried about surveillance state, paranoia, how much control should the government have, how much should it not have. And these are not hard and fast. We're philosophical guys. I don't have answers. I can't present. If I had answers, I probably wouldn't,
do interviews?
Yeah, I probably wouldn't do interviews. I would, When we got to Civil War, that was, I don't know who's right. I really don't. Honestly, like, look, you could make an argument both ways here. And if we're not making that movie, then the movie's not complicated enough to stand on its own merit.
It's also really telling to be at this point we're at, where we are so strangely divided. Are we divided because of AI? Are we divided because of misunderstanding or not seeking to be in dialogue with the other? So The other crazy thing, and I think Doomsday more than any so far, just because I've now realized our tendency to be telling the story of the world while hiding behind the fact that no, we're just telling superhero movies that you can enjoy.
Sure.
But you're only as good as your bad guy, tying Doomsday to Infinity War
Right.
specifically. And again, the one thing everybody could rally around is you're going to have to contend with Brolin.
So yeah, thankfully, perfect transition. I don't think Brolin gets enough credit for the heavy lifting that he has to do in
Can we
Infinity.
watch anything? Can we just watch
Please.
any part of Brolin? What do you think?
Just back it up. Play the opening scene, his speech when he walks out at the beginning of the movie. I think Brolin is as scary in this movie as Anton Chigurh, right? Like he is,
Without question.
It is a Coen Brothers level villain.
Brolin giving a actual performance, knowing what has to go into it, the visual effect, the subtle visual effects, the nuances of that, you're still able to capture him, and you're able to act opposite him. What is that process even like?
What's amazing too, and we had it with Spader and Ultron, so there had been enough of a dry run to really see, but you got to have a great actor. Sometimes having a great actor won't translate to having a great character by the time it's rendered and all that. And this one, I think everybody knew.
Yeah.
Every department head, certainly as per the brothers' marching orders, every cast member knew this is a new, most next level threat any of you have ever encountered. That was kind of the only note really that mattered for any of us. So no matter where the tone is going, we have to really be able to stop it in our tracks and go, oh, Thanos equals unprecedented.
He's fate come to call, right? Like he's like it's like death come to call. It's interesting about, you talk about Brolin's performance. He first came in and we put him on a motion capture stage to play around with the character, and we had a big screen in there and he was puppeting the body. And so he started playing around with, I think he did, and he's told this story before, so I'm not talking out of school, but he started doing a British accent. You know, it's like trying to make him very, it's like he was a Othello. And we said, come on over here for a second. I think he's more like a gangster than he is than he is like a high-minded ruler. You know, he's a brute. You know, and he thought about it for about 30 seconds. He went, I got it. And then he turned into Thanos, started walking around, watching himself. He started moving, and then he's got that voice, and then he started talking real slow, and then he started, contemplating, and I went, there we go. Yeah, he's got the character. Now, it's interesting about these movies. Usually when Downey's in one of these movies, we go, okay, movies in Downey's point of view, it's Downey. We got Downey. Or if it's two-hand, or it's in Downey and Evans' point of view, if we're two-handering it that way. But what's weird about Infinity War is that movie's actually in Thanos.
It's Thanos the movie. Yeah, it's Thanos' movie.
Tell me how you know that to be so true.
Well, it starts with him, but he's the character that we are following along on his mission. And the other characters are playing catch up the entire time.
Right.
They're 1 to 2 steps behind him. And as an audience member, when I went to rewatch it for this one, I tried to really remember what it was like the first time I watched it. And as an audience member, you're just thinking, well, how are they going to stop him? How are the Avengers going to prevail? And you have like 5 false endings where I'm like, well, now they're going to get him.
It's all very calculated in how it's designed in order to, tease your expectations about where the movie's going to go, which ends up, the higher I can set up the rug pull, the more dramatic the rug pull becomes when I start killing all your favorite characters at the end of the movie.
But I mean, you mentioned Anton Chigurh, that's what it is. Like, No Country for Old Men is his story, essentially.
He's
and
unstoppable in the movie, right? That's the Coen brothers are making a fable about an unstoppable character.
And by the way, and Josh is playing, he's our hero. He's our fated hero.
Right.
Because you can't stop what's coming. Literally can't stop what's coming, translated really nicely to us. And then I think, too, because I don't want to miss Titan Continuous. That was the call sheet I saw for, it seemed like a year and a half.
Yeah, we're on that set, this planet Titan. We had a large piece of it built on a soundstage, and we shot a lot of stuff on it. Yeah.
Isn't it the one that Castaldi fell into on like
Yes,
day 2?
He did. It had some crevices. A lot of
It
really.
was a very
Yeah.
beautifully rendered, unstable, really difficult to shoot on superset.
Yeah.
And it all made perfect sense when the end comes, because we realize we've been in this weird liminal space, and it's like, why is it like this? It's so hard to block. And the brothers were just like, yeah, just put a platform in. We don't know either. We're gonna figure it out. And then by the end, it's like you're almost in a Hitchcocky way setting up this lack of balance and lack of ability to function and find your center.
Right.
And then when we were doing that scene where everyone starts blipping, I mean, I don't think any of us had ever been in scenes where we're going like, I can't believe I'm watching everyone, half of everyone blip out.
We were telling people on the day,
Yeah.
so you're gonna blip out of existence. There's another story coming. I mean, it's always hard. I find I'm so busy on the day and I'm so stressed out that I probably do it with a lot less sensitivity than I should.
Right.
But I'm like,
No,
so you're dying today.
Yeah.
You're not. You're dying today.
But by the way, you can't be a touchy-feely surgeon because you've got a job to do, and we gotta get this tumor out.
Did you know when you filmed Holland's death that it would have the impact that it had on the audience? That's the one that they gasped.
Well, I'll tell you this. I saw Pratt, who'd been running roughshod over our movie and just killing it. And when he knew it was his moment to have his future be uncertain, he said, yep, me first up. Because he knew that that's the game, that's the trade-off. So he really set the bar for like, just nail it, know what you're doing, know what your emotional connection is, and
And he did a really lovely sort of comedic / sad
yeah.
goodbye. Yeah.
And then, of course, I just wanted to have this look of shock and desperation. And I knew that Holland at this point is a veteran of now, I think it's his 3rd Marvel film. Mm-hmm. Civil War.
Well, he did Civil War,
Spidey,
Spider-Man, and then
now
this.
but
Yeah.
right? So he's 3 in, and he's already really gets it. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry, is this about Can You Bring It or Not? And he just breaks our hearts.
I was crying at the monitor.
Yeah. And I was like,
thinking about my
great,
own
so he
kids.
just
Yeah.
fixed this moment. Now I just need to not move because Holland is on fuego. And let's see what we got.
It was originally scripted. I think the first line he says is, "I don't feel so good."
I don't feel so good. He was also
And then-
saying, I'm sorry.
So in the script it was, "I don't feel so good." You lay him down, and he goes, "I'm sorry."
Yeah.
And then I remember thinking, I was like, because I don't mind a good cry in a movie theater. I was like, how do we get them to really, really cry at the
Oh my
scene?
God, dude, I'm going to weep.
And I brought him over and I said, you don't want to go. Like, this is, you're 16 years old, and it's the last thing.
It's killing me.
It's the last thing you want. You just to die.
Yeah.
I just want to see
He's what,
happens.
like 20 now?
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that he was able to command that moment, he really lands the whole emotional impact of the film in
Yeah.
8 seconds.
Well, because in the moment, as the audience member, we're all saying, like, they're not going to kill us. It won't be Black Panther was the other one, right?
Yes.
You show Okoye, and then I'm like, well, she's...
That was a fake out, because we're like, if we have the camera over here, you're barely, and then it kind of comes back around, and you're like, what? It was designed that way,
right.
you know.
Yeah, so Spidey, when he goes, that was the killer.
But that was also, we milked the shit out of it. You know, it takes the longest of any of them,
Maybe that's the longest scene.
you know. And but also the relationship for the movie, writing backwards, is we know if we're going to break your heart that he dies in his arms, then we should have a fun relationship that's sort of mentor-mentee, but the mentee's a bit of a pain in the butt, and you didn't want him to come all along, and you were trying to protect him, and exactly what you didn't want to have happen happens. That's how you have to always understand exactly when you're talking about all these characters. We have them on a board, and we go, okay, we know exactly where the story's going, go backwards from that to get maximum effect out of that storytelling, you know?
Without talking spoilers, how much of this is on your mind when you're trying to differentiate Doom then? Because you say your movies are only good as the villain.
I'm quite odd in that I try to stay as removed from a subjective experience of things as I can. So I try to think like the brothers. I try to feel like I'm in the writing room. I try to feel like all that stuff. But eventually, there's so many big shoes to step into that I just have to go, what hasn't been done as well as it could be done yet? So we're always looking for that opportunity. And a lot of it has been, there's some experimentation, and we've had our moments of, let's shift here. And, but we landed in a place that I think will more than suffice. And it's not even about how I executed it. It's about the way it's been structured and the other characters. So again, there's something going on in Doomsday and forward that is literally the only antidote to how do you not have these films be a letdown after an Infinity War and an Endgame. And boy, have we labored long and hard to bring that.
Well, yeah, these have obviously been harder than the other ones for that reason, right? As the stakes keep going up. But like, emotional complexity is always the answer. You bring emotional complexity to anything, and it richens it, and it makes it a fuller experience for the audience. It surprises you. There are a lot of surprises in this, and I think it's the most emotionally complex of all of them, in a lot of ways the most mature of all of them.
Infinity War to me embodies sacrifice. Something as small as Tony deciding he's going to stay on the ship when he talks to Pepper. I think we have to cancel those 8:30 res, or 8:30 res. That's akin to Steve talking to Peggy before he drives into the ice, right? Groot chopping off his arm to become the handle of the axe. And right down to Wanda killing Vision at the end. And Elizabeth Olsen's performance in that moment.
Dude, can't say enough. And by the way, WandaVision kept me connected to the MCU during the pandemic. It would have been great at any point in time, but everyone across the board has done their part. But I will say this, there's an incredible amount of gratitude we have going into these two. One epic at a time. Doomsday, just the gratitude to be able to do it, to still be engaging with people who are critical when we fall short, but understand how difficult it is when we get it right. And so
and there to celebrate with us, you know. It's part of the fun of making these movies. As somebody asked me about, you know, what's the best thing of making these films? It's sitting in a movie theater on opening night and watching the fans go absolutely crazy. I mean, you're trying to deliver an experience to people, you know, in a complicated world where they're going to just have an experience together as a community. They're going to talk about it. They're going to want to watch it again. They're going to want to talk about it with their friends, with their family, with their kids, their grandkids. Something that has like a legacy emotional impact on them. It's what happened to me when I was a child and I watched all of my favorite films. It's really, you know, can we, as you said, like you almost transcend your role or your job and you go, my mission is to just try to deliver the same thing now to another generation. And we've been very fortunate enough as collaborators, Robert and I, to be able to do this over and over again, and knock on wood, we can do it 2 more times.
Well, I just want to say too, and part of that also is, you know, the whole landscape has changed, and I think the way we even talk about the legacy of these films and or our ambition moving forward is to really zero in on the people that we want to connect with, and let it kind of come out from there. I mean, Disney is the best at the symphonic effect of bringing attention to something, but I think we got to go right back to the beginning. It's almost back to the Iron Man one. In case you haven't heard about us, we want you to get excited, you know?
Yeah, exactly. All right, I'll get you out of here on this one. And this is a thrill to be able to talk about this movie and to relive all the moments of it, from Thor's arrival in Wakanda to Cap emerging from the shadows. It's the music of Alan Silvestri, who is a quiet MVP of this film in particular. And I want to talk about your use of music in this, leaning into the Avengers theme, cutting your action to beats of that music, and how important his influence is on these movies.
There is no scarier moment when you're making these movies than when you get on the mix stage and they're just working on the sound effects and the dialogue, and you have to watch the movie without music. And you are like, we're fucked. This did not turn out how we thought it was going to turn out. There's a lot of people in latex running around saying semi-important lines, interspersed with jokes. This is going to land like a turd. And then Silvestri lays his score over it, and suddenly it's a superhero opera.
I'll say this too in closing. You know, we're on day like 4 of production on Doomsday, and Joe's like, "It's going pretty good. Come here." He plays me Doom's theme, and I was like, "Oh yeah, okay, it's that." And it even affected that day shooting and every day since. And we're
It's a tone cue. I could sit in a room with him for 20 minutes to try to explain to him what I think the movie is, right? And he might not get it the same as if I play him 30 seconds of Silvestri's score, his Doom Suite.
And you in particular, dude, he'll just listen to it the whole time. He'll play it on set. He's like, just hear what I'm hearing and understand that this will communicate more.
It keeps me in the headspace so that I stay on tone. Otherwise, because again, these movies are so complex, and again, you have to pick point of view. Mm-hmm. You know, there's a certain point of view in this movie that I want to stay in, so I have to be in a head state, and I have to listen to a certain suite in order to stay in that head state.
Gotcha. Brilliant. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate your time. This is fantastic.